Elon Musk has declared that there will be a rising recession from 2023 to the spring of 2024. While this news may be a major downturn for some, there's no better time to invest in stocks than now while everything is on sale. We never know what the future holds, so it's best to stay prepared, especially regarding our finances. Welcome to Luxo-Life, your partner toward personal growth and success. Today, we're here to discuss what this 2023 recession might have in store for us, which stock currently present the best potential, why we should invest in them, and what exactly does index funding mean to us. So, what are index funds? Index funds are like little bundles of company stocks that you buy together to have a sample of small ownership of everything. Buying stocks this way allows you to have a sure gain from the successes of rising companies, even if some of the stocks you buy are not guaranteed to bring you a ton of money. Instead of buying just one stock where the risk of failure is high, holding an index fund is a safer way to ensure success in other areas. And according to statistical data, you earn money more this way than just buying individual stocks. VTSAX would be on the list of the top 5 best funds to invest in. It is an index fund by Vanguard that covers the entire US stock market. A great purchase for an even greater price of only $96.15. VTSAX is a great stepping stone into the world of stock market if you want something flexible and includes all sectors you can think of without having to formulate anything for yourself, being introduced to over 4,000 stocks available on the market. VTSAX was founded in the year 2000, and since then, it has returned 7.25% per year and over 12% in the last 10 years. But let's look at some of its downsides. Firstly, there is a minimum requirement of $3,000. However, we can consider its ETF version, VTI, where there isn't a minimum requirement as long as you can buy the stock, but there is no way for you to reinvest. There is also a management fee ratio at 0.04% for VTSAX and 0.03% for VTI. It's not super expensive in the long run, but if you want to get around this, you can try Fidelity's FZROX. It started in 2018, but there are no management funds, so you don't have to pay any expense ratios. Second on the list is something you might already be familiar with. One of the more famous ones is VFIAX, also known as S&P 500. It is widely known as the golden standard in the US equities market because of the largest 500 publicly traded companies measured by market cap. The fund holds the top 20% of companies, including Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, Berkshire Hathaway, and even Tesla. The managing committee of the S&P 500 purposely selects companies by weighing their profitability, market capitalization, sector allocation, and liquidity, which makes things easier and more efficient for you. And that's why S&P 500 is given a gold star sticker in the stock market index funding world. Since the beginning of its time, it turned a little less than the total stock market index fund at 6.93%, but it did better in the last decade with an annual return of over 12%. It also went down 17%, so it is cheaper to buy this year than last year. But like VTSAX, there is also a minimum of $3,000 for VFIAX. Their ETF equivalent would be VOO, which is pretty much the same thing if you don't have the $3,000 to get started, since it doesn't have a minimum. VTSAX also includes an expense ratio of 0.04%, and if that isn't very clear to you, you have to spend $4 more for every $1,000 you spend. But these two are only within the US index funds. That's only a fraction slice of the pizza. So, an international index fund would cover more than the US index funds, ranging from regions like the Middle East, North America, Europe, and the Pacific. International index funds also cover holdings from companies that the majority of the world use in their everyday lives, including Samsung, Toyota, food brands like Nestle, and much more. Especially with more countries to cover, they will for sure be developing and stock prices will increase and your investments will do better and earn you more. However, it's sad to say that the International Index Fund is running relatively flat and outperformed the US market in the last 20 years. But of course, this wouldn't be the case forever. Keep in mind that seasons change, and this won't be a guaranteed event to happen forever. There have been times when the international markets performed better than the US, especially through the 1980s and the early 2000s, and that might happen again, especially considering the possible 2023 recession and market crash. So, consider adding an international index fund to your list, and VTIAX would be one of your best choices. And something like that, VTIAX had only returned 3.18% since its founding in 2010. Okay, that might sound a little disappointing if you compare it to the first two on the list. However, you'll be getting a dividend of almost 4%, so for every $10,000 you invest, you'll get a passive income of almost $400. Of course, this also requires $3,000 minimum, and since international index funds take more effort to manage, the expense ratio you have to pay goes up to 0.11%. Alternatively, their ETF version, VXUS, only has a 0.07% expense ratio, which is still more than the last two, but still very affordable for an international market. You can, of course, always look for cheaper alternative ETF versions of these markets online. Just go look up your preferred broker international ETF on Google and the result to fit your preference should appear right away. Since it is not always a guarantee that one index fund would consistently outdo another, it is always safe to know how to better divide your index fund portfolio to best fit your preference. That being said, it's best to include a growth index fund on your list. Next to ours is VIGAX. There's an index fund for pretty much everything, but VIGAX focuses on doing one major task. It takes the US markets, filters out all the companies that do not have high growth potential, performs another filtering method that gets rid of developing companies that are only getting breathed onto an endless money stimulus printing, and you have the purest growth fund that only leaves potential markets from big companies like Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, Tesla, MasterCard, and so much more. VIGAX currently holds almost 250 companies focused on businesses that might do very well terribly. Since its founding in 2000, VIGAX has already returned 7% annually and 13.50% in the last 10 years, and that's after it has already gone down 30%. This is a very high risk with high rewards position to be in, and you either get a really large gain or lose sorely. As an example, growth stocks did the worst performance from 1997 to the early 2010s in every category and were dunked on by emerging markets. Unsurprisingly, there's also a $3,000 minimum as well as a 0.05% expense ratio for the supervision of the funds for these. Vanguard, of course, provides an ETF version of this called VUG with a market price of only $225 and an expense ratio of 0.04%. Take everything we just talked about, mush them together in a cooking pot, get some emerging markets for some taste and a bit of growth, and boom, we're serving up VTWAX for dinner. This introduces you to 9,548 while balancing a combination of large cap growth and value companies. That's getting to see the entire world. You'll get to see everyday companies, food productions, technologies, oil companies that pay dividends, and international companies. This company only started in 2019, but it already has returned 6.90% annually and dropped 20% cheaper than it was at the beginning of the year. They even pay you a dividend of 2.4% that you can buy more markets and get more dividends. And of course, since it is the most convenient and efficient to use, it's no surprise that the management fee is a higher 0.10%, and its ETF version, VT, only has a management fee of 0.07% with an $87.65 market price. Want more educational and entertaining videos? Click like and subscribe to the channel for more. Never miss an update by ticking the notification bell and allowing all notifications. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again on the other side of this coming recession.